Here we go.
What up, Niner Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Niners Lounge. We are glad that you're here with us. Got my boy Ronnie Niner, Mike, and we have a special guest with us, Chris DeFranco. What's going on with you, baby?
Hey, what's going on, boys? Thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Thanks for joining, and always a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we actually kick off this show, I'm gonna start off by let me clear my throat real quick, just for you, Mike. After watching Week 1, the Niners have put me on an apology watch to the defense and Steve Wilks. I said apology watch. We still have a long season ahead. We don't know what's gonna happen, but here at the Niners Lounge, we stick to our takes. We don't no take back. It is what it is. You gotta just eat it up, even if you're wrong. But on that note, Ron, what's up, bud? What you got for us tonight?
Ron
Keeps
Ron
losing connection.
We actually didn't have a show. We asked our boy Mav here a couple of questions on our expectations for the Steelers. And, our boy Mav had a lot of hot takes in regards to what his expectations were for the entire year. And he's been trying to blow up the roster. So, Mav, I'm actually going to bounce it back to you. Okay, because I'm curious to know. We're going to put you on a hot seat here. Okay, what were your takeaways? What were your takeaways from Week 1?
Well, for one, I have so much respect for Mike Tomlin, which is why I expected a way better game than this. It didn't happen, so that's for one. I'm gonna leave Purdy alone for a minute right now because I'm pretty sure we're gonna talk about him at the end of the show. But defense, the first string defense, look awesome. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. We look good, but like I was saying earlier, if one or two guys go down, I really feel like that's gonna shake things up. Guys gonna have to try to figure out how to coexist with one another because they haven't had that chemistry like that. Um, I really can't say anything about the Steelers right now. Just the fact that they didn't show up and they did not look good, but it is a long season. Things could change. And I kind of held my breath every time Purdy took a hit or when Jake Moody went up to kick. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Looked like I was watching a Madden game.
Good deal. So, we're going to peel this onion back a little bit layer by layer, and then I'll get to my guy Chris and Mike. But, last week you said that you didn't really expect the 49ers to be a top 5 defense. Have you changed your mind?
Nah, we're gonna stick to it, right? That's what it is. We gotta stand 10 toes down on every take we give, right? Whether I change my mind or not, it's still on record.
Well, when you look at the top 5 idea, what you're saying, you could still change your opinion because as the season goes on, we're going to gather more information. We're going to gather more facts. More games are going to be played. And it's easy enough for you to just come on here and then be like, look, in the beginning, I thought they weren't going to be top 5. But, man, after 5-6 weeks, they're number 1. So there you go. You have a chance in the next 4 or 5 weeks for things to change for you.
And that's exactly why I said they have me on an apology watch.
Yeah, I see.
That's exactly why I said that. So
yeah, that's good.
Mike, what were your takeaways from Week 1?
Pure dominance. I think this is one of the most dominant games we've seen this team perform in since Shanahan took over this team.
Yeah.
Like we've all been wanting that quick start. We've all wanted to see complimentary football, all sides, and that's what we got. We put the NFL on notice that when this team is running on all cylinders, clicking on all aspects, they're going to be unstoppable.
Mhm.
Let me ask you guys, excluding Purdy, because we'll talk about him later on.
Mhm.
Who stood out to you guys the most? Chris, let's start with you.
Wow, who stood out to me the most? I'm gonna say Lenore was so good. I mean, so good. I think he had 10 tackles. He had 8 solo tackles. I'm not gonna sit here and say Fred Warner because I mean Fred Warner is, he's
Out of this world.
I mean, he's one of the top defenders in the world. But so I mean, that's what I expect from every game. I'm definitely going to say Lenore would be probably outside of obviously like Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Drake Jackson getting 3 sacks was something I did not expect at all. So if I had to go with anyone outside of the offense, I'm going to go with Lenore and Drake Jackson.
Mike, who stood out to you?
I'm going to give it to Ayuk. I mean, come on. The guy had a game that we've been clamoring for a couple seasons now. He's out there to prove that he's the real deal. He's a wide receiver 1. He wants that contract. I mean, he was 2 touchdowns. He was blocking like crazy. He put a clinic on. And then defensively, I got to go Jackson. I called him out earlier in the preseason that he was going to be my breakout player of the season. And I mean, 3 sacks. Come on, it's the benefit of having who we have on that D line. It's other guys getting double teamed, and it's just going to feed Jackson sacks all season long. It's a good thing to see.
Mav?
Even though I said earlier I felt like the game was boring, like I was watching Madden, but the most exciting part to me, I would have to go with you, Mike. Ayuk, like for sure. I've been saying this since last year that he is the true number 1 receiver, and he showed that.
Yep.
He showed that.
Yep. I wish I was able to. I had the opportunity to come on more last season to, I would have preached Ayuk every single week. I think he's one of the best pure route runners in the NFL. I mean, it's the only other guy in terms of pure route runners that I would put above him maybe is Devonta Smith in Philadelphia. But man, Ayuk, his routes are so crisp. If you put the ball anywhere close to him on his route, he's gonna be there and he's gonna most likely make that catch. 8 catches on 8 targets, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Look, I thought he was wide receiver 1 last year, and I think he's going to be wide receiver 1 this year. And he seems to really have the trust in Brock Purdy. So there's nothing stopping
The chemistry.
me. The chemistry is incredible. So there's nothing stopping me from saying I think Ayuk is a 6 to 8 catch per game wide receiver. I think he's definitely well on his way to being paid, all capital letters on that one.
Agreed. David McNiner says, let's up and go 49ers. Happy F the Lambs week. Faithful. Yo, David, what's up? Thanks for stopping by and watching. Let me ask you guys, was there anything that you were concerned with? Mike?
Honestly, in this game, no. Like there was no point that I was worried. I mean, Jake Moody at the beginning, there was concerns every time he's going to go for that kick, but he seemed to have shaked off the rust that he had that offseason, and it looks like he's good to go. I mean, this team, like I said, they were firing on all cylinders on Sunday.
Mav, I'm gonna leave you to the end because I know you probably have a list of things. Chris,
So
is there anything you're concerned with?
I am, and I want to preface this by saying TJ Watt is all world. When he's healthy, an all world player. So, however, we want to talk about a lack of possible depth on defense. The Niners' offensive line depth is my biggest worry, and it has been my biggest worry for 2 years now. And the last that, I can't even count how many times the Steelers were able to get into a possible, a big hit on Purdy or to halt any play. So if I had to put a worry on something, it would be the offensive line. There was a play where Minka Fitzpatrick, who was a freak athlete on the Steelers defense, I thought was literally going to murder Brock Purdy, but Purdy somehow was able to get away from him and then make a completion. And I just thought to myself, oh boy, there's better defensive lines out there than the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, they better figure something out real quick, how they're going to be able to stop some of these significantly better D lines around the NFL. So that's my only worry moving forward, is that offensive line. And I'm not going to say to you, I puckered up a little bit when I saw Trent Williams go down. That was a little worrisome to me,
Mhm.
but the big boy's okay, so I'm all right. I was able to sleep and take care of that. But yeah, the offensive line would be my only worry.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. David says Ayuk caught all his targets. Can't fact check that. We'll take your word for it. But if he did, that's phenomenal.
He did. He was great.
Sweet.
That's one.
So I'm on the right. I mean, so do we have concerns about the right side of the line, Mav?
With McKivitz.
Yep.
I mean,
Burford had a few
he's got
penalties.
a lot of different matchups.
Yep.
I mean, I think McKivitz.
Did we solve the problem there?
Nah. I don't think we solved no problem.
No.
I think we still got a problem moving forward. Like, for real, I'm so terrified for Brock Purdy, man. Because I mean, McKivitz got a lot of competition coming his way this season, and yeah, he may have done fairly well against JJ, but is he gonna be consistent moving forward? And every time Purdy takes a shot, dude, I'm like holding my breath.
You're right.
So injuries are my main concern this year. Can we stay healthy enough and long enough to make a real run like we've done in the past?
Yeah, and not to, I don't want to cut you off, but from a facts perspective, to kind of let you know where that worry comes from. This past week, and I know it's week 1, but everything matters, especially with the history of the quarterback situation the last decade here. The Niners ranked 30th in pressure percentage against in week 1. That included 9 pressures by Pittsburgh on the right side of the line, 5 pressures, and obviously the 3 sacks by TJ Watt on McKivitz, and then the 4 pressures by Spencer Burford. So, man, the Niners have all this excessive cap space all of a sudden. They kicked about 15 buckets down the road to make sure Bosa was signed. They got to figure out a way to shore up that right side of the line with all this excessive cap space. I don't know how they're going to do it, but that's why, it's about 50 levels above my pay grade. They got to figure that out, because if you want to win the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy cannot see this much pressure every week.
Right. And I mean, like you said, that's above our pay grade, but hey, it doesn't stop us from talking about it, right? How do we, you know what I'm saying? How do we fix it? What's the solution there? We go out and get a guy. I mean, do we even know what Kyle Shanahan looks for in a right tackle?
And that's the thing, right? We don't know what he looks for in any player, really, honestly. All we know is he wants a quarterback that's going to run his play the way he wants it. And, I mean, Ayuk bailed out Purdy at least twice in that game. Yep. So, yeah, we really don't know what Kyle looks for. I mean, we could sit here all night, all week, till the season's over and be like, he needs to go out and get this guy. He needs to get that guy. No, I like a guy like Sam Darnold. Wait, what? Like, he throws monkey wrench in the whole thing every time. We just don't know. It's just let him go out there and do his thing.
Agreed.
Right. I mean, so I guess what we do know is we know it may be an issue. We don't know how to solve it. And if we do, and they go out and get a guy, do we trust that they're going to get a big money guy or draft in the early rounds for a guy? I don't know. David says, I saw. Go ahead.
Hold on there. It's not that we, the fans and podcasters and analysis, don't know how to solve it, but Kyle does. We
I
just
mean,
have to trust his process, right?
so I agree, but if a player is to be added, they need to have spent a significant time in that Kyle Shanahan scheme. So if the Niners are going to acquire a player, probably going to have to sit him for a few weeks to learn the blocking schemes. That just seems unlikely to me that that's going to happen because of the lack thereof in terms of patience level that Shanahan has. I can't see him just going out right now and going to get the Bengals just cut La'el Collins. I can't see them going out there and signing Collins. Well, one, coming off the injury, he's got to pass a physical first. But then he's going to have
Right.
to probably take 3 to 4 weeks to get used to this scheme. I'm not sure. I think that's why Shanahan believes in McKivitz, because he's been with him every single day. I just don't think Shanahan has that patience to go out and get an offensive lineman and be like, yeah, we got an O lineman, but we'll see him in 4 weeks. I just don't think he wants to do something like that.
I mean, I also think they rather spend their money elsewhere because they seem to just want to go cheap there now. They keep McKivitz. He's cheap. They've developed him. So I think we're just going to have to roll with him for the rest of the year and take, lumps and bruises, like you call it, and hope he grows and develops. I mean, that's the only way, right, is to play him in games.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The only thing I'm worried about is he's still going to have – I mean, he just faced, TJ Watt in week 1. McKivitz still has to play guys like Micah Parsons coming up, Hassan Reddick of the Eagles. It's not exactly going to get easier for him. But, again, you're getting these reps against a guy like TJ Watt. That should only elevate your game a little higher, right? I mean, you would assume these guys they learn from these things. So if he can learn what his mistakes were against a TJ Watt, then you can go up against the other freaks like Hassan Reddick and a Micah Parsons. So again, I'm with you, Ron. This is something where this is a week to week. This was week 1. It's week 1. Let's talk about McKivitz in week 6 or 7 if something, God forbid, bad happens. But I'm with you. I think Shanahan wants to have patience with him and continue to develop him.
Right, because I mean, we can measure it at week 1. What's our level of concern, right? And we measure, but at the same time, if you want to look ahead and say, no, this can potentially be a big issue for us down the road. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened last year.
Yep.
So thinking ahead, right now, our level of concern, where are we?
Overall?
1 to 10.
1.
Okay.
I'm not
an issue.
I don't think I no, I mean, when you said bring up something that might be a negative, the only thing I thought about was McKivitz, because that was the only obvious issue. And yeah, I'm probably at a 1. I don't know if that's overtly optimistic, but I'm at a 1.
No, I guess I asked because – oh, go ahead, Mike.
He also didn't have Bosa all offseason to go up against.
For sure, yeah.
Now that Bosa's back, he's going to be going up against him in practice. So
that's a great
I think
point. That's a great point.
I think it's just it's gonna help him get better and hone his craft.
It should.
Mm-hmm.
It should.
Question,
Mav, what do you got?
Who's gonna be matched up against Aaron Donald next week?
Good question.
Whoever's matched up against him, I can see at least 2 or 3 holding calls. I mean, let's be honest. Aaron Donald like to swim under guys to where he actually makes you hug him around the neck. So if he does match up against McKivitz, I think McKivitz could at least get about two holding calls on him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I seem to be pretty confident with the center and the left side of the line. I like Burford a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like McKivitz. I just think he had a tall task. Week 1, right out of the gate. This dude Watt is a freaking animal. So, again, week to week, See how he does this week against the Rams. I mean, other than Aaron, who else is out there on the edge for
No
McKivitz?
one. They got
That's
no
a real threat.
Yeah,
No one.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, he's going to face a few tough guys, but I mean, he's got Parsons. We'll know more in the playoffs. That's when things start to shrink a lot, right? So for right now, I agree. I'm not sure if I read this comment or not. Did I? Do you guys remember me reading this?
No.
No,
Okay.
go ahead, read it.
So David McNiner said, I saw TJ Watt run around McKivitz when Purdy was in the shotgun, and McKivitz did better when TJ had to go through him. Yeah, I agree. Those like 5 or 7 step dropbacks are they're tough for him to defend. When Purdy's in the gun and he can release it quick, of course, yeah, that's going to give him the advantage. He doesn't have to hold the guy that long. So, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about around the league here, and talk about each conference. Bounce around from games. What games or what teams caught your guys' eye, whether it's good or bad? What were your takeaways from week 1? We'll kick it off with Mike.
Let's see. Takeaways. I know the Cowboys have been a big topic of discussion this week.
Mhm.
I think there's a little bit of overreaction, and they're getting a little overrated. Defense looked good, but was it them being truly elite, or was it just the Giants being god awful? Offensively, they were not impressive at all. Dak was asked to do nothing in that game. I think McCarthy played it very safe with him. And when he starts being tasked to throw the ball, we're going to see the receptions again. So I think Dak was definitely protected in that game.
Mhm.
What other game? Let's see, the Chargers Miami game. That was a great shootout.
Miami's dangerous.
Yeah. As long as Tua
Are you
stays
talking
healthy,
about Miami?
I am, Mav. I am. If Tua stays healthy,
Wait, what did he say?
offensively,
That was an exciting shootout.
defensively, they still got some issues. Same with the Chargers. I mean, offensively, Herbert's looking great, but they got some issues on defense.
Mhm.
I think I read today that Bosa
Agreed.
might be hurt for him, so that's not going to be good on their part.
Mhm.
We got the good Bosa.
Yes.
Yes, we did. Big takeaway is we're all these elite quarterbacks. All the so-called elite quarterbacks.
Well,
had
one just blew
horrible
his
games.
Achilles out.
Yeah.
So,
Rogers is already done. What's going on with Allen? The guy continues to just kind of take a step backwards every season. Joe Burrow
No
started
Brian Dable,
slow yet
definitely.
again.
I have a take on Josh Allen, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Ooh.
Why not?
Why not?
Let's hear
You
it.
can't
All
do
right,
that.
come on. Yeah, come on.
Come on now.
Now we want to hear
All
it.
right. So
Right.
I think this is my opinion. 2 things. One of them, I think one is fine to say. The other one might be crazy. One, I think he's the most overrated football player in the NFL. 2,
Okay.
I think he might be trending towards being like the next Carson Wentz.
Ooh.
So
Wow.
I can't hate against
He's-
that. I mean, look how he's playing.
He's starting to show the exact same signs that Carson Wentz showed. I think it's not going to be to the level of he's going to be out of football. I think Allen might figure it out a little bit, but man, every time I watch a Josh Allen Buffalo Bills game, I am always left thinking, what is so spectacular that I'm supposed to see here? Like I don't understand what I'm looking for.
Right?
He's got a big arm. That's great. Michael Vick had a big arm. All right. What else can you do? The guy in big situations just either can't run his offense or he'll throw a pick. And he does it time and time again. And, I read all online today, people saying, oh, the Bills got to do better at taking care of Josh Allen. What in the world are you talking about? And I don't know he's the one throwing the football. He's the one that's making these costly errors. He's supposed to be a top 3 quarterback. That's, I don't know. I don't want to get on a Josh Allen rant.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I just nothing about him impresses me.
No, it's and every year he just takes a further step back. The
Yeah.
guy makes crazy decisions. Physically, he's I think just dangerous to himself. He
Yes.
takes
Yeah.
unnecessary risks,
Again,
and when they get to the
passing
end zone, yeah, exactly. And when he gets to the red zone,
I,
it's just he's just notorious for these interceptions.
Mhm.
I think what you
Um,
guys are trying to say is Josh Allen tries to do too much when he really
He
does not
does.
have to.
I agree with that. I agree. I think his offensive coordinator and his head coach need to literally force the guy to stop. Just stop taking everything into your hands.
Like, dude, just execute the damn play. Stop doing too much, you
Let,
know?
yeah, but
So,
overall reaction kind of for week one though is outside of maybe 3 teams, it was a lot of sloppy football. There was a
Yeah.
lot of teams that just didn't look like they were ready for week one. So we'll see what teams figure it out, but right now there's kind of some clear cut winners of who's going to kind of dominate the league this year.
so is it safe to say that the experiment with drafting guys from like Wyoming and North Dakota State is over?
Maybe.
Nah, I don't think so.
That was a
I
joke.
don't think so.
There's a couple things I wanted to talk about. Here, I got a couple of takes that I do want to touch on. One, I think Belichick and the Patriots are on their way. That dynasty's over.
Mhm.
Two, what about Jimmy G and that win over the Broncos?
That was a Jimmy G game if I've ever seen one. You had the injury scare.
Yeah.
You had the interception. You had the happy feet.
That's funny.
And you also have the less than 20 points game.
Yeah.
That's
But
funny.
like for me, I think for me the biggest surprise were the Rams and Seahawks.
That's a
I did not. I mean, think about it. The whole league and everybody and their mama done crucified the Rams. Oh, they're dismantled. They paid all this money to get Stafford and all that. And you look at the Seahawks last year. I mean, they were on a rise again, as
Yeah.
if they hadn't really lost the beat. But now it's like, dude, what's going on here? I mean, I know it's only week one, but God, these rookies on the Rams are looking pretty damn nice without Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
Wait
They
till
can
they
only
play
get
our
better.
defense.
I mean, I like that kid Puka Nakua, whatever his name is. I like him. And Tutu Atwell, they're some solid guys. I mean, this defense they're gonna face this Sunday will really show in what direction they'll be heading in their career. But the Rams really surprised me. I can't tell if the Rams got better or the Seahawks just need some time to get back on track. That's
Geno
what's so
Smith
hard
is-
about dissecting.
Yeah.
Geno Smith turned into the pumpkin, just like I said.
I agree.
Is it my turn for the? I don't know what this. I'm sorry. I don't know where we were going.
That was just a bigger take weight. That's all.
Oh, okay. So I had a couple actually. One, I didn't expect Jordan Love to look as good as he did in his first start with Green Bay, and I didn't expect Justin Fields to look as bad as he did. So that was one. The Eagles and Patriots game surprised me, and it surprised me in the sense of I really thought the Eagles, they're projected by everyone. It's either the Eagles or the Niners to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And I really thought the way this Eagles team is built, I thought what the score that we saw for the Cowboys and Giants, I thought the Eagles were going to pound the Patriots. I really did. So to see the Pats, realistically, if there was a little bit of better play calling, the Patriots had that game won 3 or 4 different times in the fourth quarter. So that was crazy to me. Other ones, I mean, the Lions beating Kansas City on Thursday night in the opening game, that was just wild. Yeah, there was quite a few.
What about the Browns?
Oh, yeah. Jeez. I mean, yeah, that was Joe Burrow doing what he didn't do was just, again, it's crazy. And then you got Jacksonville who look really good. Look, the NFC is still pretty weak, I think. And I still believe that the Niners are the absolute class of the NFC. And I think that'll continue to be proven. But I'll tell you what, some of those other teams, like I agree with you guys, even though it was a 40-0 rout, I'm not worried about the offense and the Cowboys right now.
Nah. If we go back to that Patriots and Eagles game real quick, like you said, the Patriots had that game won 4 different ways. And to me, what really saved the Eagles was that pick 6. If not for that, I mean, the Eagles really looked like sloppy out there.
Yeah. I agree with you. That pick 6 saved them for the rest of the game because you're right, man. Like Jalen Hurts didn't look good. And I'll tell you this. I mean, I watched that game and their play calling was brutal. I mean, brutal. You have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown out there. You have Dallas Goedert, who's a top 4 tight end in football. I think Goddard had like 3 or 4 targets the entire game. I don't know what the hell the Eagles were doing, but all I know is that realistically, in my mind, they should be 0-1 right now.
Who was the play caller for the Eagles last year? Was it their offensive coordinator?
It was. He and Nick Sirianni. Yeah.
Sirianni calls the plays in Philly, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Gannon was trying to get him to stop calling the plays. But here was my thing about the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since Brady left, their offense is terrible. And it doesn't seem like Bill Belichick knows how to – he's not an offensive coordinator. Their offense stinks. So, which gives me like reason to wonder, was it Brady? Because he hasn't been able to. Where is this guy's offense?
You're right. Brady went down to Tampa and took care of business. So I
don't think Belichick's a good offensive guy. He stinks as an offensive coordinator. He's a good defensive guy.
Yeah, I mean, you could, and again, you can call the best plays in the world, but if you can't execute, then you're gonna look terrible. So, thank God that we got Brock Purdy and not Mac Jones. So I'm happy about that.
Mac
For
Jones
sure,
disaster.
So, is there any, or do we think anybody's a threat? I know you mentioned the Eagles. As of right now, from week 1, what we saw, Cowboys.
I mean, Dallas. I mean, look, to post a 40-0 win in a modern NFL is really pretty impressive. And so, look, the Niners ain't the Giants, so that's the silver lining I have about that is, I can just as easily see the Niners winning that game 40-0. So, but still, I think the Cowboys are a very formidable team. I think I'm more worried about the Cowboys than I am the Eagles. I'll say that. And I don't know why I think that. I feel like I'm way more, if I'm worried at all, it would be the Cowboys over the Eagles.
Because if you sit back and you really got to look at the opponents.
Yeah.
Were the Giants that bad? Because in my opinion, from what I saw, the Steelers are a better team than the Giants. The Giants are awful.
I really thought that the Steelers were going to give the Niners a run on Sunday because they won their 7 of their last 9 games last year. They were on a roll. They looked really good. And I thought I did not. That's why you guys said it at the top of the show. That was one of the most impressive Shanahan era wins that I've seen because the Steelers are not a bad football team.
I agree.
So, yeah, that's why I'm like, what's more impressive? Because their one was dominant and the other one was the complete debacle by the Giants. Go ahead, Mav.
I think you would put the Niners as the most impressive win for the simple fact that they look good on all 3 phases of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the reason why I would put them up there. I mean, the shutout doesn't really mean anything to me as far as like the Cowboys and Giants because they're the same division. Ask yourself this question: how long has Daniel Jones been the leader of that team? Well, been the quarterback of that team, I should say. What's his
Oh
record
no, you're the
against
one that picked him to win the division. You tell me.
I did because I like Brian Dable. Well, I mean, look at what he did with Josh Allen 3 years ago. Now we're talking about
Because
how
we were
Josh Allen
pairing
is
them, remember?
declining. Look what
You picked
right,
your
but look
division
what he
winners
did with
based
Daniel
off of
Jones.
coach and QB pairing. So that's how we ended up there, I think. And you like Dable and Danny Dimes to take the division.
I like Dable.
Well,
Me too.
I like him for the simple fact that you see what Danny was without an actual coach.
Mm-hmm.
Now you
Or-
give him one, and he can get something out of that guy. He's not all trash.
Was it Danny's
Let's be
fault
real.
though?
I mean,
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch. I mean, I was kind of side eyeing the game, but was it all his fault?
the whole team didn't look right, bro. Like honestly, the whole team did not look right.
Yeah.
But
Joe-
like I said, we have to look at the record versus Danny Dimes versus the Cowboys. What's their record? Has he ever beaten the Cowboys? And if he did, how did he beat them? We already knew the
No,
Cowboys were gonna go in and win. We knew that defense was that last year. The defense didn't change really.
He
If
is
you ask me, it
one-
just got a
he's-
little faster.
He's 1-7 in 8 games against the Cowboys.
You see what I mean? So to say that the Giants were just terrible like that, I'll be like, he just can't beat the Cowboys.
The Cowboys destroy him. Actually, I'm looking at the stats. Like
They do.
He's been sacked more times and hit way more times against the Cowboys than any other team in the league. He's been sacked 24 times against the
Jeez.
Cowboys.
That's
The
his
next,
kryptonite.
the next closest is the Eagles with 14 sacks. So, and I agree with you. I think
Division game.
yeah, division games, but
right.
I think DJ. I've always thought that DJ was an okay quarterback, but I can't tell you that the last time the Giants had a decent or maybe even league average offensive line. I mean, that dude gets hit so much. He doesn't have
Even Eli was getting punished.
Oh my gosh, right. So it's and I like Dable because I really think he's super smart with how he handles an offense. I think he's good with quarterbacks. I just think the Giants have an awful history at drafting, and they seem to completely ignore the offensive line. And the offensive line is what got Saquon killed, and it's getting your quarterback continuously killed nonstop.
Yeah, and Jason Kent says that's because Dallas's defense is amazing. Yeah, I was looking at the highlights, right? I'm looking at the game, and I'm like, man, that defensive line is just swarming the hell out of them.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking, of course, I watched our game, and our line, of course, it was a different game. So I'm like, the Giants' offensive line, are they that bad, or is Dallas's defensive front that good? They're stunts.
Yeah, I think it's a good mixture of both.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Matt?
If you're asking me about the Cowboys, I'm more concerned about their offense because they can show up any day. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about. Who are you? What's your identity on offense? Defense, we know what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
We're prepped for that, but it's the offense.
Yeah.
When are they gonna show up? Do they show up in big games, or do they just like, okay, let's play conservative like we did the Giants because we know them?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question.
We'll know soon enough, right, Mike? You'll be there live, so you'll let us know
Week
after
5.
we get that
Oh,
dub
yeah.
against them. So, and I'm pretty sure, they keep playing the way they're playing, we keep playing the way we're playing, we're going to see them in the playoffs. So let's transition into our next topic. Because with these two teams, quarterback play is important, right?
Mhm.
So let's talk about our quarterback,
Yeah.
Brock Purdy. Have we seen enough, fellas? Mav, I'm going to start with you. You got a history of opposing Brock Purdy, having your doubts, your guard
Listen,
up.
I don't
Have you
want
seen enough?
I don't want
What more do you need to see, Mav?
I don't want anybody thinking I hate Brock Purdy, but to call
Here
him
it
the real
comes.
deal, you really put a target on his back. I mean, it's only right that, okay, what am I seeing as a real deal? Now, one thing I really do want to see from Brock Purdy, and Michael Parsons mentioned that on his little podcast, is how well will he do in the comeback? And would it be a Peyton Manning versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Tony Dungy's birthday comeback down 21 with like 3 minutes left? Or would it be a Kaepernick lights out Super Bowl and just miss it by 3 points? Like, what kind of guy is he playing from behind?
We've seen it.
I just want to
Right.
see that.
We saw it last year against the Raiders.
How far behind was he against the Raiders?
I don't remember.
I can't even
But
remember
he
the
was
score.
he was in a shootout in that game.
But I'm talking about being down 14 to close to 20 points with only like 5-6 minutes left into the game. I mean, we know it can happen. We've
Crunch
seen
time,
Peyton do it.
come from behind, Mr. Clutch in the playoffs type of deal, right?
Is he clutch? That's because we right now, like Michael Person said it, he's surrounded by great talent, but he's on the perfect team to really kick off his career as an NFL quarterback. But once that team gets depleted, I believe in like 2 years, he's gonna command the bag. Like for me, the best thing, if you're gonna pay Brock Purdy, just extend his rookie contract right now. It'll save you a little bit of money instead
You
of
can't.
going out there and trying to. What, you can't?
Players-
Chris,
the Players
Chris,
Association.
do you have
doesn't allow it.
you have QB stats up there by any chance?
Yeah. I have
Okay,
his
so-
numbers up there, yeah.
Okay. So, Mav, you're saying you need to see more from like come from behind type of deals, but I
That's the
seen a
only thing I
ranking
need
float
to
out
see.
the other day where they had him at number 23.
That's such a bullshit ranking.
Mm.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I mean the media is starting to turn and they're starting to see it and they're like, how much longer can they keep? We got to see more. We got to see more. I mean, the kid's undefeated in regular season games still. He's had more than
And that's
at
why they-
least he's had at least 2 touchdowns in every game that he's started.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down to me is we always talk about coach quarterback combinations. I think Shanahan has finally found his muse. This is the guy he's been looking for years. It's someone that runs his offense with the efficiency that he needs. And that's what it comes down to. It's Shanahan and Purdy are just a perfect coach QB combination. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing on the field. He has so much trust in
I
this
got a
kid.
question for you.
Mhm.
I got a question for you, Mike. You play
Yeah.
Madden, right?
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you played against tough competition?
Yeah, of course.
Are you used to winning most of the games that you play?
Eh,
But doesn't
What-
but to play devil's
Go
advocate
ahead.
he's been so good in his starts. He doesn't need to play from behind. He doesn't need to be in those pressure situations because he gets it done when he's in there. Like
yeah.
like I'm looking at his numbers now. I mean, so in his career, when the game is tied, he's a 69% completion percentage quarterback with 51 pass attempts. When he's trailing, he's a 65% completion percentage with a passer rating of nearly 100. So he, in all situations, when the score is tied, he's actually a higher rated passer than when he's leading in football games. So just to let you know now, if I get the chance to be on with you guys every week, I called Brock Purdy last year, and Ron can cover me on that one because during the whole Lance train and during the offseason and going into this year, I just said, look, I'm telling you right now, I think under Shanahan, Brock Purdy is perfect. What he can do. He's athletic, and I think he has completely revolutionized the way teams are going to get their quarterbacks because he's the kind of guy where the reason why I still think he's so good now is one, Mav, I give you credit. You're all right. If I want to take a quarterback and plug him anywhere to be successful in the National Football League, the San Francisco 49ers are the number one team in the NFL that you want to plop a quarterback in from start. Purdy also was a 4-year starter at college, and he's so smart. He's played a lot of football before coming to the Niners. And I think teams are realizing now where it's going to start. You're going to draft these kids out of college who have played a lot of football instead of these projects like a Trey Lance or other guys. I think teams are going to start looking for quarterbacks that have been 4-year starters, have played a lot of football, and can be game managers. Because I think that's what the league is. It's a passing league, and you're finding out. I think one of you guys said, where did all the elite quarterbacks go? I think the game's changing now. It's such a pass-heavy league. You need guys like Brock Purdy that can manage a pass-heavy offensive scheme. And I think that's why he's so good, because this dude has ice in his veins. Nothing rattles this guy. But I do, again, I've said it before, he has yet to have an ounce of adversity. So I will agree with you there 100%. I want to see Brock Purdy when they're down 10 in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes to go. I want to see that. I would like to see that.
I mean, 10 minutes is a lot of time. You might have to drop it down just a little bit.
So 8 minutes.
I mean, you
can get 2 drives, right? In 8 minutes, 2 drives.
Yeah, something like that.
So I will tell you right now that nothing will change, and I would put my house on it that Brock Purdy will drive down the field and score a touchdown.
Let me see your house.
Don't put the house.
I might.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big.
I might take that bet just so maybe I can acquire a home.
Hey, Mark, hold me to it. I have that much confidence because I'm telling you, I've been watching the kid since high school. Now I know it's the NFL is different. I agree. But what do you guys think makes him so great? Mav, I don't even think you're there yet. Mike, what do you think makes Brock Purdy great?
It's the poise. It's the confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the intangibles are there. Like, he's got stuff that you can't teach. There's just, I think it was Kyle Brandt on Good Morning Football, like right before week 1 in the preseason, they're kind of making some predictions. And he said, Brock Purdy's like, what if this kid is just born to play football?
Yeah.
He's like, he could be the MVP this year. And it just seems to be that it's going that way, that this kid was born to play football. He was born to be a quarterback. He just has it.
He has it. And Brandon,
is Kyle's middle name? Is Kyle's middle name Richard?
I don't know.
It's Brock Richard Purdy. David says Brock Richard Purdy is 2 steps above James Richard Garoppolo.
Yeah,
believe it or not, our QB2's name's Samuel Richard Darnold. What's up with Kyle in the middle named Richard?
Again, is Kyle's middle name Kyle Richard Shanahan?
No, it's Kyle Michael. Kyle Michael Shanahan. That's funny. Hilarious.
That is funny.
I will say too, what Brock also brings to this team, and we see how this roster is. The characters that are on this team, the Debos, the Trent Williams, the Ayuks, the Kittles. Purdy has that swag also. He's a dog, man. He's a baller. And he's like you guys said, like, he's got football. He bleeds it. Like, that's all you can just tell that's all he cares about. But that swagger that he brings in that field, I mean, his players talk. I mean, God, Fred Warner's on defense has nothing to do with Brock Purdy. And like, he's on his podcast the other day saying, man, like, I hate going up against him. I hate it. Like, the whole defense hates going up against him because he makes them look so stupid sometimes. And the fact that he's so confident when he does it. So I think, Mav, you could be onto something there. Maybe like a game where he maybe struggles and doesn't have a comeback win and knocks him down a peg a little bit to reassess. But I'll continue to take the Brock Purdy that's completing 70% of his passes, throwing 2 touchdowns, no picks, and they win the game. I'll take this for as long as I can.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
like I
too.
said, I want
And
that Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. That's all I want. That's all that matters.
sounds like Mavs coming around. But here's my next question though. So why is he Mr. Irrelevant? Why did he fall so far down the draft? I mean, the
I think
guy was about to be undrafted.
I think
I
that
mean,
comes with what teams were used to looking
yeah,
for. They
yeah,
wanted that big arm. He's a
Mhm.
smaller guy.
Yep.
He's not
Yep.
like super mobile. I mean, he's mobile enough, but he's not like a Lamar Jackson.
Right.
And up until we picked him, that's what teams are looking for.
hmm I mean, look at the
And like
league.
Chris
I'm gonna
said,
take.
it's a new way of looking at things. Like
It
it's
is.
going to change everything.
hmm
I'm gonna take it a little step further.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, I'm gonna take it a little step further back. Brock Purdy has actually made me some money in DFS when he was in college. I will admit that. Like I said, I had no issues with Brock Purdy. I just had the issues with the way the whole organization handled the quarterbacks. Um, and to bring back around a point that you guys made about teams are looking for players like Brock Purdy.
hmm
Let's go back to coaches in the 90s and the mid 2000s. When they were drafting players, they were sitting them for like a year or two.
Yeah.
They were
Aaron
drafting the
Rodgers, man.
future, right? And they were actually developing those guys. As to where in college now, is you have the skills, you get on the field and you play your game. We're not developing you because you should already know what to do at that level. So when you get to the NFL and these professional head coaches look at you and they're like, what did this coach in college see in you that made you look this good, but now you can't do anything? Now I have to sit you down, retrain you, retool you, I should say, and get you on the right step to where you actually need to be. They don't have time to do that no more because everybody's chasing that ring.
The NFL is not developmental football. It's just not anymore. The game is too fast. There's too much money involved. These rosters turn over. I honestly think gone are the days where you have quarterbacks staying with one team 15, 16, 17 years because it's just not what it was. That era is gone now. And you got to go out, and I think teams have such a win now mentality. You got a guy like Brock Purdy who played all 4 years as a starter and has shown the way how he can handle an offense and how intelligent he is at schemes and playbooks. If you go out and you draft that right quarterback, they're going to be thrown right into the thick of it. There's no more developing, and if you want proof of that, the Trey Lance. I thought it was a bad draft pick from the start because the dude threw 400 passes since 2016. Like, that's serious development. Not his fault that he was drafted number 2 overall. But what happened is just the way the NFL is. They will not develop you. If you don't come right out of the gate, like as a bona fide stud, you're not. It's going to take you 3 or 4 years to get on the field because you're not. There's not going to be development. You're right, dude. Like if you're and you're right. If you're a team that's perennial winners, nah, they ain't developing you. They're not going to take. There's not enough time to develop you.
Right.
I think the problem goes deeper than that, though. I think the NFL. We sat here and talked about it on this show. I think last year where we said the scale for NFL quarterbacks is broken. You remember that? I think the way the NFL measures QBs is out of date. Like what they're looking for is completely off. Like you need to be measuring. Like they're asphyxiated with how hard they can throw the ball, how fast they can run, but they're not measuring the mind, the poise, the confidence. Like the command, the leadership. They're measuring everything that's physical about the guy and nothing that's mental.
Right.
And I think that's what causes an issue because you got these kids who are just physical specimens but aren't even confident in their own ability, and that's a problem. Look at Trey Lance.
And like Nick Wagoner, who covers the 49ers, I think it's for I I forget who he writes for. ESPN. I'm sorry. He's even saying like, he posted some kind of article earlier on Twitter or X, whatever the hell they want me to call it.
Right.
And he posted the article saying about how the deep ball is dead, and that's because of guys like from what Patrick Mahomes has done. There were over 3,400 attempts of only 15 plus yards in the air in 2022. That's the fewest since 2006, because teams have sat there now and said we are going to take we're going to take these home run hitting quarterbacks and make them hit singles. And I think that's what we're seeing now. And I think that's what Brock Purdy does so well. He might not be able to air out a 50-yard pass, but he'll beat the hell out of you with those 8 to 13-yard dink and dunks. And just, you need guys like, you need the yak boys to get the ball and take that 8-yard pass 15 to 25. So I think that's where the NFL is going. You might want to have all these physical intangibles, but teams are looking at the 49ers like, what the hell did you guys see? What did you see in Brock Purdy that nobody else saw? What did you see? And I think we're seeing that now. Good.
Well, to respond to that, I want to give credit to Brian Greasy. He saw something in Brock Purdy.
That's a great point.
And for two, can we all agree that the salary cap, when it came into play, it kind of ruined the game a little bit on how teams perceive players coming out the draft? Because, I mean, let's take it back to the Steelers with Terry Bradshaw and those guys. That core, it was like at least 12 guys, offense and defense, that stayed together for like 10 years almost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before salary cap. When that came into play, that's when – who was the last team that actually had a core of 6 or 7 players to actually be together for almost 10 years? The Packers, maybe?
So I'm Big Ben and Hines Ward was a while. I mean, Peyton, and then you had Reggie Wayne for a long time, and Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, but
you're right. Yeah, that's 2 guys. You're talking like 6 or 7 dudes. It doesn't happen. I mean, the Niners are going to push that. I mean, they have a core that's been here 4, 5, 6 years. So you're right. The Niners could be that outlier now, saying Again, it boils down to you have to draft correctly. You got to do it the right. You got to hit on these drafts, and the Niners continuously hit on drafts, and that's like you said, that's going to help them. And if you keep taking these winners in the 4th and 5th round, that salary cap isn't going to mean much because you're not paying these guys that much money. I mean, that's the thing is this first round money and that salary cap, it hurts because you got to pay Brock Purdy makes nothing for the next 3 years. They have a 3-year window with Purdy before they got to pay him. But you're right. That salary cap era is a big deal.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
So let's transition to expectations for week 2. Right. We've already talked about Purdy. We're high on our defense, except for Mav. He's still got questions, which is okay. We're week to week on everything. It's normal, right, Mav? Mav, what are you expecting to see week 2?
Shoot, another clean game without no injuries.
Oh, that would be nice.
I mean, and
what's the one thing that can't happen this week, Mav?
McKivitz getting pretty hurt. That's one thing that cannot happen. I mean, like I said, again, I don't know who he's going to be matched up against. It's possibly Aaron Donald, and that's another tough task 2 weeks in a row. I mean, the fact that we don't know these players on the Rams is a little question for me because we don't know how they're going to play us. They're not the same Rams of old. But their schemes are still the same. That's one thing I can say. The Ram scheme is still the same. It hasn't changed. But I mean the rookies getting loose in our secondary. That's one thing. That's another thing that cannot happen. Matthew Stafford does not look like he's old man Stafford at all. Well, at least week 1 he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's gonna be a close game?
I would sure hope so. I mean, you know what? If I
Mike?
say the Rams are going, hold on. If I say the Rams are going to win, do you think the Niners put up another performance like that again? Because I mean, if that's going to happen, I'll do it. I'm not a big fan of superstition, but
No, I want to
I
know.
do
What do
it
you
every
think?
week.
You think it's gonna be a close game or not? Like from the honest of honestly.
Honestly, man, I mean, yeah, yeah, maybe a 10-point close game. That's about it. It ain't too close, but not too far off neither.
Okay,
I
let's
think Jake Moody
recap.
still,
Where do you see us? Why do you see it being close?
for the simple fact that those guys don't know. None of the players really know each other on the opposite side. I mean, the Rams they had like 8 different rookies on the field. Like, dude, that's a lot of rookies to be playing in the game, and that's a big game for them. And I think they're gonna want to really show out against us. So,
Yeah, we'll see. Mike, what do you think is gonna happen?
Welcome to the NFL, rookies. You're about to play the most physical team in football.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be
That's
the
true.
usual us taking over SoFi. They actually announced today that we're wearing red home jerseys.
Yes.
What kind of
Oh,
slap in
God.
the face is that? That we're wearing home jerseys to an away game. But it's going to be the usual song and dance with the Rams. I don't see this one being close. The team's too
Okay.
unexperienced. Well, I think we're going to see more of the same of what we did to the Steelers. I honestly don't see our first challenge happening until week 5 against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Chris, you see Aaron Donald wrecking shop against us?
I mean, I don't think he's going to have a TJ Watt type game. I think he's going to get his. So, I mean, look, the 49ers are 8-point favorites against the Rams in SoFi, which is the largest spread as a home underdog since McVay took over in 2017. So that spread scares me. But look, Vegas always knows something. I have the Niners winning this game 31-17. I think this is the game where I think Purdy's going to be incredible. But I mean, we went this whole show and didn't mention Christian McCaffrey one time. That dude is just special. He's special to watch. I think this is a McCaffrey game. I think this is a game where it always happens against the Rams. I think, we see George Kittle, Punxsutawney Kittle coming out of the tree and actually getting a few catches, maybe a touchdown or two. It's just not the Rams offense is fine. Like you guys said, Stafford, I mean, it's no joke to throw for 330 yards week 1 like that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun game. I don't think it's going to be as boring as the week 1 was because it's the Rams. I hate the Rams. I agree, dude. By like the third quarter, I'm like, man, this Niners game, like, can we see more touchdowns? Like, I just want to see, like, you just want to see more because it's like this is a total domination.
Unless you're Mav, you change the channel.
No, I don't do that.
Which he did. Mav did. But one quick thing on Stafford. He threw for 330
Mav said,
yards.
I'm so tired of us scoring touchdowns. I'm turning this shit off.
Yeah. But the one quick note on Stafford. He threw for 330 yards, but he didn't throw one touchdown.
Yeah, he was also hit one time the entire game. So this is the game where I would like to see Bosa get a few sacks on that score sheet. That would be nice to see.
And for the record, I had 5 different screens going, so the game was still on. I was just not paying attention to it anymore.
Freaking Mav.
Come on, man. Mav, what's your score prediction?
I'm gonna go with Chris on this one, except I'm gonna say 31-20.
Okay.
Mike, what about you?
You know what? I'm going to go with my same prediction from the Steelers game, 34-10.
Wow, you almost nailed it, man.
I did.
Good
I
for
was proud of that one.
Man, he took my score. All right. I'm gonna say 35. Yeah, it's gonna be 35, 20, 35 to 10. They're not gonna score much, I don't think.
35-10. That's an embarrassment.
It is an embarrassment.
And I'll
I mean,
love every second of
damn,
that.
that's saying we know more than Vegas.
Yeah.
I believe Vegas- If I'm not mistaken,
Why not,
Vegas
Mav?
is looking
Why not,
for
Mav?
I mean, dude, they're insiders. They know something more than we do. They might just be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
you got to
they're
score
fixing
this,
the game.
and, you got to score that."
Haven't you read the script? Haven't you read the script this year? They didn't hand it to you. We're blowing them out.
No, they didn't.
The script says we won't have a challenge till the Cowboys. Mike writes the scripts.
But I really,
He's always right.
but no, I really believe Vegas is looking at the Rams to cover the spread, and that'll make a lot of money.
I'm going to tell you right now,
So-
if they cover that spread, I'm going to be. I mean, if the Rams somehow make this game close, something bad had to have happened with the Niners offense for this game to be close.
And that's where my head's at.
That's how I have to feel. I mean, again, like I said, I think Donald gets his 1 or 2 sacks, maybe, but I just don't see how this offense doesn't score at least 27 points, like at least.
Do you believe there's going to be a Debo game since he was missing in action last week?
This is a Debo game.
So they're going to cover. So Ayuk is getting double team.
No, I think Ayuk again. I think, like I said in the beginning, he's going to get his 5 to 7 catches. I think he gets 7 for 80, but I think Debo is going to have 5 for 75 and a receiving touchdown, and I think he gets a rushing touchdown as well.
I'll make a fun prediction here. McCaffrey, Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle all get a touchdown this game.
Oh God!
Wow.
My
Can you
fantasy
imagine?
team thanks you.
we've never had that. Let's get that in a Rams game.
That'd be beautiful. I'm going to keep track of that.
That's maybe want to play
Yeah,
those
because
guys in DFS.
the last couple times we've played the Rams, it wasn't even close.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that they got any better.
They haven't.
They blew that team up, man.
I mean, I believe the Rams got a better running game than they've had in a while in Kyron Williams. He might not be able to do anything against us, but moving forward, he's gonna be someone to really look out for playing the Rams.
Yeah, last year the Niners beat the Rams 24-9 and then 31-14.
Yeah. So.
Yep. So
and they had Cooper
we'll
Kupp.
see.
Yeah, and they had Cooper Kupp. Yeah.
I'm calling 2-0.
I mean, like Kyle said, I'm a running back, baby. I love being a running back, and I love running backs. And like Kyle Shanahan said in his little presser earlier, you need a strong running game.
Mm-hmm.
And you need a difference maker in that backfield. And if you have that, then your offense will flow.
Yep, you have the difference
5-6 yards a carry. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, he rushes for what? He ran for what, 9 yards a carry?
9 yards a carry. Mm-hmm.
That's a big difference on the ground alone. I mean, you have to respect that. So therefore, you have to account for that running back. But one thing the Niners do great against the Rams is, one thing the Niners do great against division opponent is make them one dimension.
Mm-hmm.
So take away that running game, you made the quarterback have to beat you.
So apparently, McKivitz and Burford will be going up against Aaron Donald. So
who you think have the better game out of those two?
Aaron Donald. I hope they put a flak jacket on Purdy because I think honestly, I think McKivitz has a better one. I think McKivitz, from what I've heard, is that he's a film freak. So I really think that he's gonna do his due diligence this week, and you can't really study Aaron Donald, but you can do something to mildly contain the dominance. And I think they're gonna do whatever it takes to make sure he doesn't beat you. That's what I feel. He's gonna get one. I mean, he's Aaron Donald. I mean, TJ Watt's TJ Watt, but as long as he's not clogging up the run, and getting in on that, getting hits on that quarterback, I consider it a win.
I think they need to run right at him.
We've been pretty good at containing Donald.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna look him up.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Two things I'm looking from Donald to get in: the swim move and that little spin he likes to do.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they
I don't
can
know.
contain him from doing any one of those, that would be fine.
So in 17 games against the Niners, he has 12 and a half sacks. So
Wow.
Them near a sack a game.
almost. Well, yeah.
And
But who's he
half a
been
sack a
going
game.
up against? That's the thing. Purdy's elusive.
What's great though is that that dude can't beat the Niners because in his career he's 5-12 against the Niners. So he might get 12 and a half sacks, but he's got 12 career losses. So let's make it 13.
There you go.
Okay.
I got us with the dub. Matt, why don't you go ahead and take us home, brother?
Once again, Niner Nation, thank you for joining us. It was a great show. I didn't get too wild tonight. I came prepared. I was on point. Always a pleasure, fellas. Ron, Mike, and our guests. I hope for you to join us as much as you can this year. Chris,
Every week.
you have a YouTube, by the way? You have a YouTube or socials or anything? You want
I
to?
have-
What's your
yeah,
handle, Chris?
So I am at Chris Difran3. That's CHRISDIFRAN, the number 3 on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget to catch us on our new nights. We're on Wednesdays now, not Thursdays. All right.
That's
So catch us on Wednesdays. All right.
Wednesday night.
Have a good night, y'all. Go Niners.
Yep. Yeah, this was a great show tonight. Are we still live?